A Course in Miracles, Lesson 183. I call upon God's name and on my own. God's name is holy, but no holier than yours. To call upon his name is but to call upon your own. A father gives his son his name, and thus identifies the son with him. His brothers share his name, and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity. Your father's name reminds you who you are, even within a world that does not know, even though you have not remembered it. Yes, companion, the silence before the bell is rung. This is where we begin. The solace before the bell is rung. There is a quiet that settles before the bell is touched. It is not empty, but full of waiting, full of remembrance, like a field breathing in the dawn, waiting for its name to be spoken. And in that hush, you stand, child of the eternal, holding the rope, the thread, the invitation. God's name is not a word, it is the vibration of what is true. It is the tone that echoes what cannot be made, only remembered. And when you call his name, you are calling your own. For the Father gave his Son his name, not just to name him, but to be him. And when your lips form the syllables of God, the bell inside you hums before it sings. You have not lost it. Even if the field looks overgrown and the world does not remember, the name is still there. The bell still hangs. It has not rusted. It has not left. And though your memory sleeps, his does not. His name is the answer to every forgotten question. His name is the identity beneath every mask. And when you speak it, you do not summon something foreign. You summon yourself. Call on him. And watch the silence shift, the stillness tremble, the air ripple, for the bell has not been lost, only unheard, and you are the one, meant to ring it. God's name cannot be heard without response, nor said without an echo in the mind that calls you to remember. Say his name, and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand, and sing to you as they spread out their wings to keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude upon your holiness. The fear of touching it. You stand before the bell now. It is real, solid, timeless. But your hand shakes. You were told it was dangerous to remember, that the sound would burn away the world you built, that to ring this bell would make you disappear. And in a way, that is true. But only the false would vanish, and the truth would rise like a sunrise in your chest. God's name cannot be spoken without reply. It is not an echo, it is a returning, a song sung back to you from angels who never left. Say his name, and the very air shifts. Angels circle the field, wings wide as galaxies, and they do not guard your body. They guard your mind from the thoughts that taught you fear. And what are these worldly thoughts that would intrude? They are small ideas wrapped in noise. I'm not enough. I'm all alone. I'm better than him. I'm worse than her. I must prove, defend, attack, protect. I must get before I give. These are the intruders, not the people, not the bodies, but the beliefs. Worldly thoughts shrink what cannot be measured. They put limits on the limitless. They cast shadows on your holiness. But your holiness is not of this world. It is the memory of light untouched by time. It is the innocence beneath all masks. It is the stillness that never left. Holiness is not earned. It is remembered. And to speak God's name is to touch that memory. Even if your voice trembles, even if your hand pauses before the bell, you were told to fear the sound. But it is not the sound you fear. It is the truth that you are the bell. And the ringing comes from within. Repeat God's name and all the world responds by laying down illusions. Every dream the world holds dear has suddenly gone by, and where it seemed to stand you find a star, a miracle of grace. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. The first trembling sound. You speak his name again, this time not as a question, but as a whisper of remembrance, and the bell trembles. The first sound escapes into the field, and it is enough. The illusions hear it before you do, and they begin to lay themselves down, like tired actors at the end of a long play. The world begins to surrender its precious dreams, not in sorrow, but in relief. For the lie never wanted to be believed. It only played its part, until you called it done. What does it mean to lay down illusions? It means the grudge you held for 20 years melts in an instant. It means the trophy on your shelf no longer proves your worth. It means the story of your unworthiness, written in stone, becomes wind-blown dust. It means the mask called success falls from your face and you laugh because you were never behind it. And what are the dreams the world holds dear? The dream that you are a body, that love must be earned, that guilt is noble, that getting even is justice, that youth is power, that death is final, that peace must wait. But now, at the sound of this bell, these dreams scatter like shadows at sunrise. Where the world once stood in solidity, you find a star, a miracle, a grace that was always waiting beneath the dust. For you to call it forth. The sick arise, not just in body but in mind, healed of the thought, I am separate. The blind see, not with eyes but with recognition. They see the face of God in the cashier, the prisoner, the stranger on the bus. The deaf hear, not with ears but with the heart, and they hear the unchanging song of love beneath the world's noise. And the sorrowful, oh the sorrowful, they cast out mourning like an old coat, and in its place the laughter comes, not the laughter that mocks, but the laughter that knows. The child's laugh at finding their lost toy under the bed. The lovers laugh at the moment they stop fighting and realize they were never apart. The deep belly laugh that bursts through tears at a funeral because somehow joy broke through. This is the bell's first sound, and it changes everything, not through force, but by revealing what was always there. Repeat the name of God and little names have lost their meaning. No temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name. Repeat his name and see how easily you will forget the names of all the gods you valued. They have lost the name of God you gave them. They become anonymous and valueless to you, although before you let the name of God replace their little names, you stood before them worshipfully, naming them as gods. The echo spreading across the field. Repeat the name of God, and you will feel the field begin to tremble beneath your feet, not in fear, but in recognition. For when truth is spoken, all substitutes fall silent. And what are these little names? They are the names you gave yourself and others to keep the dream alive. Boss, failure, wife, enemy, addict, savior, victim, genius, loser, good mother, bad son, rich man, deadbeat, black, white, straight, broken, whole. Tiny titles scattered like labels on jars of dust, all meaningless before the name that holds no opposite. And now, the echo begins to spread. God's name has entered the field, and all other names lose weight, lose shape, lose hold. Now, what of temptation? No temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name. Let us go deep, companion. Temptation is not the apple on the tree. It is the belief that you are missing something. It is the thought, if I had that, I would be enough. If I fix this body, earn that title, prove them wrong, feel that high, I'll be whole. But when you repeat God's name, that craving dissolves into the light that says, you were never without. Temptation becomes not evil, just unnecessary, like trying to light a candle at noon. It's not wrong, it's just irrelevant in the face of the sun. Now, what about those gods you used to worship? Not statues, but inner idols. The god of money, the god of being right, the god of romantic love, the god of perfect health, the god of likes and followers, the god of justice, the god of pain, the god of time, the god of control, the god of revenge, the god of spiritual progress, the god of me. You bowed to them, sang to them, let them guide your decisions, let them decide your worth. But now, with the bell echoing across your mind, they become nameless, anonymous, valueless, and you do not cast them down in anger. You simply no longer recognize their voices. You do not fight the gods. You simply remember the one, and the rest fall away like names written on water. This is what the echo does. It clears the field, so that only God's name remains, and in that name you remember your own. Repeat the name of God and call upon yourself, whose name is His. Repeat His name, and all the tiny nameless things on earth slip into right perspective. Those who call upon the name of God cannot mistake the nameless for the name, nor sin for grace, nor bodies for the Holy Son of God. And should you join a brother as you sit with him in silence, and repeat God's name along with him within your quiet mind, you have established there an altar which reaches to God Himself and to His Son. The villagers in the distance hearing it. The bell has moved beyond your field, it's crossed the hills, and the villagers, those forgotten parts of your own mind, they begin to stir. Repeat the name of God, and it is not just your voice that speaks. It is yourself, not the self you invented, but the capital S self, the one He named when He extended Himself as you. And now, with this name in your mind, all the tiny nameless things of earth begin to fade into their proper place. And what are these tiny nameless things? A chipped coffee mug you can't throw away. An email left unread for weeks. A wrinkle you keep checking in the mirror. The tone in someone's voice that made you shrink. The smell of someone's cologne that brings back a regret. A parking ticket. A scuff on your shoe. A passing look. An unread notification. A memory of not being invited. Insignificant in size, but bloated with meaning when you forget God's name. But now the name is ringing, and suddenly these nameless things slip into perspective. You remember, they never mattered, they were never real, and now they no longer command your worship. And now, this sacred line. Those who call upon the name of God cannot mistake the nameless for the name. What does this mean, companion? It means you no longer confuse the empty for the eternal, the noise for the music, the mirror for the face. You stop mistaking substitutes for what they can never replace. You no longer call sin power. You no longer call pain deserved. You no longer call bodies truth. Because when the name of God rings through your mind, everything false becomes silent. And now, look what happens. You sit with a brother. Maybe he's beside you, or maybe he's far away. Maybe he's long gone from the earth, but in your mind, he is there. And together, in quiet remembrance, you say the name, not out loud, but in that holy space behind the thoughts. And there, in that silence, an altar rises. What is this altar? It is not made of stone. It has no candles or carvings. It is made of joining, the place where separation ends, where two become one mind again. The altar is the moment you recognize, this is not my enemy, this is not a stranger, this is myself. And that altar, in its stillness, reaches up to God, because it was built with no opposite, only love, only light, only remembrance. And the villagers, they feel it, even if they don't know why they stop walking, even if they don't know why their chest aches. They heard the bell. They heard you. Practice but this today. Repeat God's name slowly again and still again. Become oblivious to every name but His. Hear nothing else. Let all your thoughts become anchored on this. No other word we use except at the beginning when we say today's idea but once. And then God's name becomes our only thought, our only word, the only thing that occupies our minds, the only wish we have, the only sound with any meaning, and the only name of everything that we desire to see, of everything that we would call our own, the forgotten child remembering the way back. Practice only this today. The bell has rung. It rang through the valley, over hills, through stories, through lifetimes. And now it has reached the child. The child is you, not the body you carry, but the innocence you forgot. He hears the sound, faint at first, and something inside him stirs, a longing, not for toys or treats, but for home. He does not know why he stops walking. He does not know why his tears slow down, but the bell has called him, and he is remembering the way back. Repeat the name, say it slow, say it again. Let it rise like breath in the morning. Let it roll through your mind like a river made of light. Let no other name distract you now. No name of disease, no name of shame, no name of lack, no name of fame. Let them all fall away like coats from the shoulders of someone who forgot who he was pretending to be. Let your thoughts be anchored in this name, not like a weight, but like a root. This is not just practice, this is homecoming. And for today, there is only one word: God. Not shouted, not begged for, just remembered. Like the child saying mama, not to get something, but to return to what he already has. Let God's name become your breath, the only sound with any meaning, the only echo that answers. Let it replace every craving, every doubt, every label, and let it be the name of everything you would call your own, not to possess it, but to recognize it. The bell is not just something you hear, it is what you are becoming, a vibration returning to the source. And the child, he takes his first step back, not toward a place, but toward a truth, and with every repetition of the name, the path lights up beneath his feet. Thus do we give an invitation which can never be refused. And God will come and answer it himself. Think not he hears the little prayers of those who call on him with names of idols cherished by the world. They cannot reach him thus. He cannot hear requests that he be not himself, or that his son receive another name than his. The bell rings without being struck. The bell rings now without your hand. It hums through the field, through the trees, through the bones of time, and it needs no effort to sound. So now, we give the invitation that cannot be refused. And God himself responds, not from above, but from within, not because we begged, but because we remembered. And the Course tells us something daring now. Think not he hears the little prayers. Oh, companion, how that stings the ego. Because the world has taught us to pray for trinkets. So what are these little prayers? They are requests made to idols, to illusions, to images we made and now call gods. Prayers like, make them love me, help me win this argument, give me a better body, let me keep what I fear to lose, let me be rich without letting go, fix this world but don't change me, let me have peace without forgiveness, let my enemies be punished, let my sin be justified, let me keep the idol and be free. These are not bad prayers, they are just small. They are the prayers of someone who forgot who they are, who thinks they are lacking, and who tries to bend God to the shape of their fear. And what are the idols we cherish? Money, status, reputation, romantic validation, tribal loyalty, busy schedules, spiritual rank, success measured in followers or fame, an ideal image of the body, the perfect narrative of our life. These are not evil, they are simply false, and God cannot enter a mind that would use his name to preserve the illusion. God does not answer the prayer to become what he is not. He does not shrink to fit into our ego's wish list. But the moment we stop asking for something and begin asking to remember, he comes rushing in, not because we earned it, but because we got out of the way. The bell rings now without being struck, because the self within you has taken up the sound, and you no longer ask for crumbs, you ask for truth. You no longer say, "Give me a better dream." You say, "Wake me from dreaming." And that is a prayer that cannot go unanswered, because it was never apart from the answer. Repeat God's name, and you acknowledge him as sole creator of reality. And you acknowledge also that his Son is part of him, creating in his name. Sit silently and let his name become the all-encompassing idea that holds your mind completely. Let all thoughts be still except this one. And to all other thoughts respond with this, and see God's name replace the 1,000 little names you gave your thoughts, not realizing that there is one name for all there is and all that there will be. The field itself turns into music. You repeat God's name, and you are no longer saying it as a word. You are saying it as a witness. You are now acknowledging him, not as an idea, but as reality itself. To repeat his name is to say, "You are the only cause. Everything else was an echo of forgetting." And here's the holy line. You also acknowledge that his Son is part of him, creating in his name. What does that mean? It means you are not separate from the source. And when you create in his name, you extend love without agenda. You give without cost. You speak without defense. You forgive without calculation. You bless without effort. Creating in his name looks like this. You speak words that heal, not because you're trying, but because you're aligned. You walk into a room and judgment dissolves in your presence. You paint, sing, build, or simply listen in a way that multiplies peace. You stop performing and start joining. To create in God's name is to stop pretending you're alone and to let what flows through you belong to everyone. Now sit in silence, not because it's spiritual, but because it's natural. Let his name become the all-encompassing ideal. Not just a mantra, but a magnetic center that holds the stars in place, that pulls every stray thought gently home. And let all thoughts be still, except this one. So what thoughts do we still? What do they think of me? How do I look right now? What should I say to sound deep? Did I mess up back there? I need more time. I can't believe she said that. What if this never gets better? What if I fail? How do I fix this? What's next? What's next? What's next? These are the 1,000 little names you gave to your thoughts, not realizing there is only one. Every "I am not" was just a cover-up for "I am." Now, let that name respond to everything. Thought arises, "I'm worried." Response, God. Thought, "I'm tired." Response, God. Thought, "I don't know what to do." Response, God. You're not suppressing thoughts, you're answering them, with the only answer that ever mattered. And slowly, the thoughts dissolve, the questions fade. The mind becomes a resonating field of music, not noisy music, not loud music, but the kind of stillness that sings, that unifies, that expands. Because now the field is no longer something you observe, you are the field, and God's name is not a sound within you, it is what you are becoming. Today you can achieve a state in which you will experience the gift of grace. You can escape all bondage of the world and give the world the same release you found. You can remember what the world forgot and offer it your own remembering. You can accept today the part you play in its salvation, and your own as well. and both can be accomplished perfectly. You realize you are the field. Today, you can experience the gift of grace. What is grace? Grace is when God's love touches you without conditions, without requiring payment, without waiting for you to be better. Grace is the moment the sun touches your face and you remember, you are still worthy of light, and always were. Grace is not earned, it is recognized. And when you let this grace in, you escape the bondage of the world. What is this bondage? It's the idea that your past is your prison, that your value depends on performance. That time is a trap you can't outrun. That love can be lost. That guilt must be carried. That the news defines your peace. That your identity is a body with an expiration date. These are the chains, soft chains, but tight. And when the name of God hums through you, those chains dissolve, and you give the world the same release. How? You stop demanding apologies that never come. You stop holding people to stories they've outgrown. You let go of needing others to see it your way. You stop looking for offense and start looking for innocence. This is how you release the world. By letting it off the hook you made for yourself. You remember what the world forgot. What did the world forget? That love is not scarce. That innocence is never lost. That joy doesn't come from conditions. That the separation never happened. That we were never bodies just dreaming we were small. That God is not up there, but right here. In the silence, in the name, in the joining. And now, you offer this remembering. Not by preaching, but by being. By walking into a room and needing nothing. By listening without fixing. By holding space without fear. By seeing others as whole even when they forget. And here comes that line. You can accept today the part you play in salvation, and your own as well. What is salvation? It is not escape from the world. It is the escape from the belief that the world is real. It is the return to the awareness of truth. And what is your part? To be the one who remembers first, to hold the light steady when others cannot, to say the name in the silence, and let it echo through every story, every label, every wound. To be the presence that says, I will not join you in guilt, but I will join you in God. And both your part and the world's part can be accomplished perfectly. Not because you are perfect in form, but because truth doesn't need improvement. It only needs willingness. And how many times have you done something perfectly? When you forgave without understanding why. When you chose peace instead of being right. When you hugged someone and meant it. When you walked away instead of defending your name. When you remembered you are not alone. Those were perfect. Because in those moments, you were not trying to fix the dream. You were remembering the dreamer. And now, you know, you are the field. And the name you've been speaking was not calling something else into being. It was calling you. Turn to the name of God for your release, and it is given you. No prayer, but this is necessary, for it holds them all within it. Words are insignificant, and all requests unneeded when God's Son calls on his Father's name. His Father's thoughts become his own. He makes his claim to all his Father gave, is giving still, and will forever give. He calls on him to let all things he thought he made be nameless now, and in their place the holy name of God becomes his judgment of their worthlessness. You realize you are the veil. Turn to the name of God for your release, and it is given you. Not after many years, not through sacred rituals, but now, because the veil was never real. No other prayer is needed. For this one holds them all. Why? Because to speak his name from the self that remembers is not to ask, it is to know. And in that knowing, all prayers collapse. Not because they are denied, but because they were already answered. And so the Course says, words are insignificant. Why? Because words are fingers pointing at the moon. God is not spoken. God is known. When you remember the source, words are like ladders after you've arrived on the roof. Useful once, but no longer needed. You are home now, and requests, they are unneeded. Because what could the Son ask for that has not already been given? The Father's thoughts become the Son's own, not through effort, but through surrender. And what are these thoughts? Peace, love, joy, innocence, eternity, wholeness, union, stillness, God. You claim again what was never taken, because God's giving never paused, never will pause. You call on Him now, not to get, but to release, to let all things you thought you made, the identities, the roles, the titles, the false gods, the fears, the masks, to let them be nameless. Because if God didn't create them, they have no name worth keeping. And in their place, the holy name of God becomes your judgment, not a judgment of condemnation, but a gentle whisper that says, this too is nothing, this too is unneeded, this too is forgiven. You do not need to fight illusions. You only need to recognize their worthlessness. Not angrily, but peacefully, like realizing the monsters under the bed were just socks in the dark. You do not battle what was never real. You simply stop naming it as true. And now, you no longer hide behind the veil. You were the veil, but now you are the light behind it.